Hello, Lisa Conway here again. Um, Today's a really, I think is a very important topic, and it's probably more important now than ever because it's the end of the year and we get some sort of emotional shift or a change that comes in that says next year's going to be better. So I think a little bit differently about the average bear, and that's probably why you're listening to me. So thank you for letting me be me. But I wanted to share a few things about the way I process planning and why I think it's a good thing and why I think it's not necessary, or how you really have to adapt it to your version of planning. And I think over the years, I've always, gone to business forums and that, and you had to map out the next 90 days and stuff like that. And about three-quarters of the way through, I think, oh, piss off. And I'd just go, done, too hard, can't do it. And although I've got a bit better at not chucking the dummy and the towel in or spitting the dummy, I've learned some things along the way. And one of the things that I've learned is that I think a bit differently than most. And what I've learnt is that I've lent into that. And it's quite likely that you're like me and that you don't think like the average bear. And that maybe you have been diagnosed as ADHD and maybe you haven't, but I I don't think there's a hairdresser on the planet that doesn't have a decent amount of ADHD. And the reason I say that is because we are so used to having to pivot and make changes on the spot, and everything changes. Like it's just how we live our lives. Like we just got a lot of fingers in a lot of pies and a lot of shit going on. And the way our brain can manage all that, it shows up as ADHD. Now, the jury's out a bit as to whether you're born that way with ADHD or whether you develop it. And so there's that's a whole topic for another story, but I think it's definitely a development thing. And I also think that yes, it is a bit like a thinking that's handed down through your family. So you probably got the tendency to do it anyway. And then you get in a space of constant pivoting and changing in a salon. And then you add that as in raising a family. And you think, why plan? Why plan? Because it's a waste of time. And I think if I can just pull you back from that thinking just a wee bit and give you some tools, then I reckon it's been a good use of your time. So let's get into why I think or don't think. And I want to shed some light on some of my learnings over the last year or so. Having said that, we do have a big planning day in January, and you're welcome to come. And that's where we'll actually do the plan. But what you will do is you'll walk away from that with a really clear understanding as to how you're going to move forward and how you're going to make decisions when shit hits the fan, basically, and how even making those little micro decisions will push you further along on your plan. And that's really what you want, because if you feel like, well, I had a plan and then that happened, then the plan got thrown out the window. What I want you to do is have a plan that when that happened, you don't throw the plan out. You just think, okay, right, for now, I'll do this and I'll keep to my plan, because that's really all you can do in a life lived like you and I live. So the first thing I want you to consider is that there's sort of two type of people. There's the people who love a good plan. Oh, and they don't like it when you change it. Well, that ain't me, let's be honest. And then there's people who really don't want a plan. Like there's people who like certainty in their life and there's people who like uncertainty, right? So I'm a person who is delighted in uncertainty. I'm so excited when things happen that I didn't plan for, that were like surprise and delight. Not that I am happy when things happen to me that I didn't like, but I still think it's like the miracle of living and being, and just let's see what happens. Let's wing it. And I love the hairdresser and beauty therapist brain because there's a lot more wing it in them. And there's probably a bit more wing it in the hairdresser because that's a creative side. So, in general terms, beauty therapists are much better at following a system. There's a lot less creativeness in the beauty side. There is some, like makeup is creative, absolutely, but doing a treatment in a certain type of way, and it's not 4-ish minutes, it's 4 minutes, like whatever they do, they have an hour service, and guess what? Goes for an hour. That doesn't happen in our world. People have way different amounts of hair, and they can come in with one idea and decide to be another, and like it's really, that's the winging it part, isn't it? So you have to kind of put yourself in the, do I like to plan or not? And some of you will plan, but it'll just be in your head. And that's the difference too. Like I don't put a plan on a paper as much as some people do. And I know people like that. So I can teach it. It's not a problem. But for me, I like to go smaller. What am I doing today? Or what am I doing in the next couple of days? And that's really about as far ahead as I like to go. But I also have what the end result is. So the things that I'm going to do today or tomorrow or the next day, they're going to push me closer to my plan. And so that's what I do. Like, I'll give you an example. When I was wanting to clean up my brain and give my brain the best chance of recovering, since I had a mental breakdown, was the smallest question was, is this good for my brain if I was about to eat something or do something? Is this good for my brain or is this bad for my brain? And that's what I mean by the decision in the now pushed me closer to what I wanted. So if I was going to drink Diet Coke, I'd say, is this good for my brain or bad for my brain? No, it's bad for your brain. So put it back. Or if I was going to pick up my phone first thing in the morning and don't let my brain wake up and look at my phone. Is this good for my brain or not? No, it's not. So I wouldn't pick it up. I think, no, you're not doing that. Am I going to have a coffee first thing or I'm going to wait an hour? Good for my brain, bad for my brain? Waiting an hour is much better for my brain, right? Am I going to look at TikToks until, 11 p.m. at night? Is that good for your brain, Lisa, or is that bad for your brain? No, it's not good for your brain. Don't do it, right? Now, that doesn't mean that I always did it, but I knew in the very small micro decision that those things would push me closer to my plan, which was to repair my brain, right? So when we really drill down on what it is that you want, is it possible? Can you do it? And is the time frame you've given yourself, 6 months, enough, or is it too short, or is it too long? So once we sit and we go through all of those things, then like your legs start jumping. You can't help it. It's really, really important to get excited about your plans. So that's why you have to do it. And you've just got to sit in it and throw things around and go out, or, oh no, hang on, bring that back in maybe. And I love doing it on post-it notes because I think you can easily screw one up and then write another one or make that thing into two tasks. And once you do that, it's quite easy to follow because when you unpack what it is you want to doing and then what are all the little decisions that will get you there. So in the example of getting my brain healthy, the not drinking alcohol was pushing me towards a healthier brain. The getting 8 hours of sleep was pushing me towards a healthy brain. So all of the little decisions, those little micro decisions, got me into a much better position. And then you get into the next level and you think, okay, so maybe I won't do that. I'll do that. And maybe I won't do that. And you just get better and better. And it's like climbing a mountain. But what I think we've got to think about is if you think back over the year that you've just had, what was the best thing that happened to you? Like just take a minute to think about, one or two things you think, wow, that was so cool. Like I was so happy when that happened. Um, and I sat here for a bit before thinking about it. And I think um, being a grandma to my second little granddaughter, Ursula. That was really cool in this last year. And the other thing that was really cool was finding that little lost dog that needed someone to love him, Donald. And that was really cool. And then I want you to think about, like, were those two things planned? No, not at all. I can't plan when my daughter has a second child. And I didn't plan on having a dog. In fact, that very morning I said to Simon, I said, I miss having a dog sometimes, but I said, I don't think I could justify having, like I'd always love a toy poodle. I said, I don't think I could justify having a toy poodle. I said, I want something little enough that can come on the motorbike with me. And I love the way you can take dogs into shops and cafes here. So I said, I do, but I can't see how you could do that when there's so many dogs that need your help. And that day, Simon comes home with this little puppy that was nearly dead, Donald. So they're two really cool things to happen to me this year. And I had nothing to do with it. Couldn't have planned it if my life depended on it. Right. So the thing that you can do though, they didn't tip me off my plan, my business plan, or my plan of being a kinder person and just a better human being all round. So to Donald, yes, I didn't expect that to happen. But what I've done is I've learnt from that and I've tapped into how do I be kind to this little man? What's the best thing for him? And I have, like, I've just done an incredible job with him. And then being a grandma, how did that tie into being the kindest, best person? Well, that was pretty easy. But I went out of my way not to give my daughter any instructions or any advice or any feedback on being a mum, because I remember when I was a mum, I didn't want it. I could take it from my mum, but I just liked it when she said good things. I didn't need her to say, well, I think he's a bit spoiled, or I think maybe you shouldn't be letting him eat that, or whatever. Like I thought, no, I know what I'm doing, piss off. So I've gone out of my way, and that keeps me on track of being the happiest and healthiest and the best version of myself. And I never planned those things. What I did plan, I'm still doing, as in making time to connect with the people that I work with. My plan is to be always listening better than I've ever listened before. My plan is to not speak as much and to be curious and to lean into all of those things. So absolutely, that's on my plan. And I just know if I keep doing the things that I'm doing, then it pushes you to where you're going anyway. My plan to work out whether or not I sell a property and build a villa here, and all of those things are on the plan. And being a grandma didn't ruin it, and finding a puppy didn't ruin it. But it's certainly brought me distraction, but it's brought me a lot of joy as well. So, when you think about every decision you make and you think, is this going to pull me away from my plan, or is this going to push me closer to my plan, then it's much easier to do. So that way you can just get on with the next right thing, with the outcome in mind. And I think when you think about that plans can change, and plans can move around, or appear in different orders, and you get a win in one area and you can't just go, no, not looking at that because it's not in the plan. Like, I think there needs to be a flexibility around a plan, and because opportunities arise. But I also think too often I've seen people who have one salon and they're haven't really got that sorted, and they're struggling along a bit. And then someone offers them another salon and they take it. And I think, well, how is that going to help you to work 25 hours on the floor and be home more for your children? They go, oh, yeah, but it's such a good opportunity. I go, yeah, but it's not your plan. Your plan was to, reduce your stresses, get the team on board so that they would recommend retail, rebook clients, and raise your average dollar sale by $50. So I don't know how the hell you're going to do that if you take on this second premises. So that's how opportunity comes along, and you can either say no, or you can go, oh, it's just too good to miss. And I think, is it really too good to miss? Or will there be another opportunity coming along? And so when you have a really clear statement as to what your plan needs to be, and if it's a less stressful, happier, calmer mother, then taking on a second business is not going to fit in with that. It's just not. And so that's why a plan's really important, that it is flexible and it can change. But if you don't go back to the core of the reason why you're planning that thing, then you're going to fall over, and then you're going to go plan and work. So the amount of times that I've worked with a salon owner who's got two salons, and I'm thinking, mate, neither are making any money. Why did you get two? And the answer is always because this wonderful opportunity came along that I couldn't resist. And I think, really? And the other thing is they're concerned that someone else will take that premises, and then they'll have a competition person. And I think everyone in your life is a competition if you're going to think like that, because whether a lady spends $80 having a massage or a blow wave, or $80 on iTunes, that's your competitor. It's not another salon. It's just where people choose to spend their money is a competitor, I think. So having the idea of what you want to do, and then going smaller, as to what are the little bite-sized steps that you'll do each day. So for example, it's to become less stressed and a more calmer mother, then taking on a second business ain't going to do it. What is going to do it is sticking to 3 sessions a week of exercise is going to do it. And so then when something else comes along and you think, well, I can help you a little bit, but I can't help you at that time because that's when I go to yoga. So that will keep you on your plan. And even though it's not a straight line, and it never is, it's a wiggly line. But by having a plan, you'll drop a little bit below where the planning is, but you'll rise up again. And you won't go out the door and over the road and down the hill plan, because then it's a long way to come back. So having a sentence that keeps you on track, having a word for the year, which is really important, and having a plan that the goal is in mind and you will know when you are there. Right? And some people just don't have a plan of go of knowing when they were there. For example, they want to make more money. And I think, well, what's that? Make $1.50 more and then you're done. No. And how will you know it was there? Because you look into your bank account and your buffer is at 10K and you look in your offset account and it's at 50. You know you're there. That was your plan, right? So then in the micro, you think, do I need to buy these new towels now? Do I need to buy these new? No, I don't, because it's not going to push me closer to my plan. And the towels I've got are fine. Let's just push it out for 2 months and then we'll buy them, right? So the micro decisions help you to get to the big macro plan. And there's a few things you need to stick to. So I can remember when I divorced, I remember thinking, like a broken home. I remember my children's father said, well, you're breaking a home, you're breaking up their family. And I don't know, it just came out of my mouth. And I said, children can thrive in two homes if the parents are on board. And that's my plan. And he went, okay. And he accepted it. And so whenever it was tricky, I'd say to myself, children can thrive in two homes. And children can not thrive in one home. So the fact that the children were living in two homes and spending their time with their parents separately, you could argue that's not ideal, but I felt like I could still achieve and raise good children when I had the really clear sentence that told me whenever I got wobbly that no, I'm not a horrible person, that children can thrive in two homes. And that was my goal. So me being snitchy to their dad or losing my temper with the kids or something, is that helping them thrive in two homes? No, it's not. So don't do it. So that's what I mean by you need the micro to pull you in. You need the big plan. You need to know when you're getting there. And it's amazing. Like this is a plan that you'll actually love. This is a plan or a map that you'll go, I know exactly where I'm going. And when I ask you how you're going with your plan, you'll be able to tell me. You go, yeah, it's good. I had this happen and that, but no, I'm still on plan. And I said no to her and I said yes to him. And I think, yeah, good on you. It works. And I think it's fair to say that I've done a few plans. And even just looking back over this last year, my plan was to become the healthiest version of myself I could ever be. And at age 60, I am. Like I feel 35. It's fascinating. And when you look at my word for the year was less, right? And the things that I've done, like I don't color my hair, um, I just don't bother with a lot of the things. I took my implants out. I eat beautifully clean. I get good sleep, and I just steer away from people that in the past I felt I had to tolerate. I don't now. I don't. If I just think you're not a good person to be around, I don't say anything, but I just exit. And so when I look back over my last year of 2024, the word steering me all year was less clothing, less purchases, less overthinking, less phone, less television, just less. And what it has done is created space for me to get to know myself again. So that's another example of how, with a good plan and an outcome, you just know where you're going to be. And so to me, I've been thinking a lot about what my new word is for 2025, and I think I've come up with it. And I think it's a little bit. So in Indonesian, there's a word called sedikit. Sedikit means a little bit, whereas the word kecil means small. So you could say you have kecil anjing, which is a small dog, or you could say that you're learning your bahasa. Indonesia is sedikit. So I know a little bit of bahasa. So to me, it's like a little bit. Let's just see if we could move this a little bit, right? So I want it to be like a flexible year. So what if we did that a little bit more? What if we did that a little bit less? So I think after having a year of eliminating things, like, I want to learn to paint, I want to learn to surf, I want to learn to dance. So I'm thinking, okay, a little bit less. What's a little bit, not a lot. So I think I just want to make the changes a little bit. And that's where I think that word's gonna steer me through next year. But it doesn't matter. Maybe I'll see you in January in the Zoom room and I'll have a different word, but I'm pondering on that. So maybe think about what a word might be that could steer you, and then I'll help you to unpack it, or a sentence. I haven't come up with my sentence yet. But yeah, it's it's like tapping into who you are and what you need. And I think a really good plan does that. It's not well, this is on my vision board and I'm just looking at it and wishing it. It's not. You have to live it, because nothing happens unless you make it happen, is how I've learned to be. So hopefully that's helpful, and hopefully I'll see you in January. We'll be here in 2 minutes, which is really good. So thank you for listening. And if you think of someone else who might like to join us on and be a part of making their own map or plan, and you don't have to be a hairdresser or beauty therapist. I think anybody could benefit from it. So you're most welcome. And we'll see you in January. Bye for now.